Good morning, everybody. And let me introduce myself. And I'm Fatoumata Ouattara. And I'm an anthropologist working at what we call in French ERD. And in English, we can say Development Research Institute. And the researcher of IRD worked in many countries like Burkina Faso, where I'm native of also. So, before I want to thank the organizers of this conference who allow me to be part of this interesting event. It's really a pleasure for me and an honor to be here. And I learned a lot since yesterday here. I shared this presentation with my colleague, Catherine, who is here. And we will want to share with you this presentation about the politics of abortion in Burkina Faso, which can appear like the domino effect of avoiding the issue. So, this anthropological study has been done in the context of the program of economic growth poverty reduction program. And we can call this program EconPop and funding by Research Council of Norway. That is for presentation. How is Mark? Our presentation deals with three critical issues. On the first hand, the question is about what are the institutional and policy approaches to abortion in Burkina Faso. And in the second hand, we ask about how post-abortion care policy emerge at interface of political and moral negotiation between actors like doctors, decision makers, international agencies, and NGOs in Burkina Faso. And in the last question is about how this consensus between actors stifts debate about further legalization of abortion. This can be about rights, human rights. So we have a joint interview with Catherine, a joint with my colleague, and indeed I conduct myself the French language interview in Burkina Faso, where I met officials in the Ministry of Health and other ministries like social action, human rights, justice, public health specialists, representative of international agencies and NGO. Whereas Catherine interviewed in the UK and US some representatives of international or global NGOs focused on reproductive health, including family planning and abortion. Abortion in Burkina Faso. First of all, Burkina Faso is a West Africa country and is considered as one of the poorest countries in the world. The population is estimated at around 15 million, spread over 60 ethnic groups. The main religions are Islam, Catholicism, Pentecostalism, and animism. No area, I can say no area for atheists at this moment in Burkina Faso. And it's a rural country with perhaps 73% of population living in rural area. In this poor country, women represent a vulnerable segment of a social and economic point of view. And I think that everybody knows this map here, and I put it just to specify the location of Burkina Faso, which we say, yeah, it's this country, little, very little, in West Africa. Oh, so we saw this number yesterday with Seydou presentation, and I want just to say that the vast majority of abortion were clandestine procedure performed under unsafe abortion, and moreover, 43% of women who had an unsafe abortion experiences complications serious enough to require treatment, although many women didn't receive the medical care they needed, contributing to the country's very high level of maternity mortality. This problem of frequent clandestine and unsafe abortion is publicly acknowledged in Burkina Faso. And unsafe abortion contribute to perhaps 10 to 25% of maternal mortality in hospital, urban hospital only. And this just highlight the consequences of mortality related to unsafe abortion in this country. And practice of abortion is confined by silence, current, but confined by silence and secrecy, but a secrecy known by everybody. And it can be difficult to discern how much of this contention is cultural or how much is religious. One survey of Burkina Faso people shows that there is negative opinion listing abortion, prostitution, and homosexuality as the most widely censored social phenomena. In Burkina, newspaper article on abortion emphasizes its frequency and the prohibition and secrecy surrounding it. The headlines of this article is about clandestine abortion, and the silence drama, for example, evoke those social characteristics, and so on, etc. So, framing of abortion in the public health dimension was made during the conference, as you know, the ICPD conference in Cairo in 1994. And then that means that legacy of ICPD reflect in current technomedical nature of international policy discourse on abortion. And, after ICPD, African leaders decide to make a place in health systems to make unsafe abortion services accessible. Okay. After this global level, and to come in the national level, what about post-abortion care? So, incomplete abortion was usually treated with curettage before ICPD conference, before impact of ICPD conference. Incomplete abortion was usually treated with curettage in the two main hospitals in urban santé. Okay. Can I continue? Okay. Oh. In supported. It's okay? No. Continue? Okay. I'll try to continue. You understand me? It's okay? Okay. And then, supported by a small group of sympathetic partners from the Ministry of Health and from international reproductive health NGOs, some clinicians form the reproductive health research cellular in Burkina Faso. And it is in this cellular that PAC, post-abortion care program, had been rolled out in public health services. In interviews, original CRISA member recalled that it had been a delicate process requiring them to continually reassure the Ministry of Health and religious leaders that their policy recommendations were not veiled calls for liberalized abortion practices. So these groups of clinic doctor claims for a PAC program not only drew legitimacy from the international public health framing of unsafe abortion, but also generated support by appealing to the government perceived need to demonstrate its commitments to reproductive health as a signatory to the ICPD. Starting in 1997, PAC gradually becomes also incorporated into national health program. And this slide is just to summarize what I have said, just that I want to say that medical doctor, rather than women rights activists, shaped the official response to unsafe abortion in Burkina Faso. That is the situation in this country. And the introduction of PAC should mainly take into consideration the religious beliefs about abortion. And government officials were concerned that their support of PAC should not give religious and political leaders the impression that they are supporting abortion right per se. And the apprehension around enlarging the PAC policy into more permissive abortion legislation is situated between international policy and locally specific cultural and religious mortality. And there is, for some actors, especially care provider, an ambiguous consensus has been reached on introducing PAC in health programs and health facilities as part of safe motherhood services. As you can see here, a gynecologist says, if you take me to underline this ambiguous consensus, if you take me, an ordinary citizen belonging to the Catholic religion, what do I think about abortion? I would tell you it's not right. I would never do it. In fact, I don't do any, because my religion, which I believe and to which I belong, forbid it. But if you ask me the question, as a gynecologist and obstetrician responsible for the reproductive health of thousands of people, I would tell you that I am in favor of some opening for legalized, more medicalized abortion, because it's the only path that will enable us to avoid the complication that burden our service needlessly and end up making victims and women. That's the position that can be very ambiguous and like dilemma in part of religion's part and technical practice part. And you can see that there are some tensions between professional ethics and religious moral. And one female gynecologist says, as a service provider professionally, I'm compelled to provide care when the client asks me, but in my religion's fight, I'm Catholic and no abortion is forbidden. Between the desire to help the person in distress and the desire to follow my religion, if I have to perform this act, I will go to confession. But I won't go to just any priest because I know I will turn into resistance. So it can be difficult for her for Sunday when she go to church. And this framing enables healthcare providers to reconcile tensions between personal and religious attitudes and the personal imperative to save lives. There is also a societal reluctance to address abortion legal status. When we can say that people say, policymakers say, I don't think that at this current stage, from our value, from our religious belief, that we could really put in place this whole process. It's a process about legalization, about change things for women right, perhaps abortion. And they say it's not the moment. So, in such a context, you can imagine how complicated it can be for women to access safe abortion. The path is often tortuous for her. And we saw this picture yesterday with Seydou. It's a safe program, and we use the same picture we repeat when we repeat. Stigmatization cost. And that raises a question about an unfavorable policy environment. That's the question. And a question we can situate it in this citation. It's about NGO working in Burkina Faso, and these women say she worked there, and this work on legalization abortion. Here, at one point, we had a project to try to see to what extent we could. And so people, at the end, people's mindsets aren't really ready yet. And in practice, government strategy with PAC is divided in 2 points. For the Ministry of Health, supporting the PAC policy is a way to demonstrate compliance with international frameworks and on unsafe abortion, including the ICPD and also various guidelines and recommendations issued by WHO that say to be in fight, to be in line with international level. We try to be in line. And second way, the treatment of abortion as a public policy question continues to be compromised by the difficult tension between what abortion represented in terms of local evaluative moral standards that relate to the individual level and commitment to a cause in the name of public interest. What's the same of public interest? So, The issue is to make for policymakers in the government to be nothing, see anything, hear anything, and thought anything. Silence about changing things about there. And for NGO, what's the question? What's the problematic for NGO? The problematic for NGOs, actors, is to working within the system. The decision to take a back seat on advocacy, as one of how informant put it, has been arrived at over time. International NGOs actors explained that they had come to Burkina intending to advocate for legal reform, but that they modified their stance once they realized that the policy environment was unreceptive and that there were no domestic pro-choice activist group with whom to ally. And just some points for discourse or for conclusion. And the international framing of abortion, unsafe abortion, is a public health issue, has helped to move the debate about abortion from the purely moral and religious realm, reducing it into technical terms associated to PAC. And the encounter between national policymakers and public health officials and their counterparts in international NGOs pose a dilemma for both parties. And at the end, by supporting PAC, these actors don't only demonstrate compliance with international standards, but also, importantly, don't have to contend with any change in abortion legislation which they oppose. And at this level, how in such circumstance use the past or not use it to bring out the human rights to reproductive rights. Thank you.